Hello, 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 Lagos. Hello, Nigeria. This is Fayo Williams, your regular safety Amazon behind the driving wheels of the safety train. And I hope and I pray that we will get to our destination safely today. Today, we're commemorating the International Day of Clean Energy, and the theme is Clean Energy for People and Planet. And as usual, I am not alone. I have a guest with me, someone who has garnered over 30 years of hands-on experience in power, oil, gas, and water. Immunity water. I don't know how the water got into the equation. He's going to explain to us. And also, he has been in agricultural industries. He's an energetic professional, results-oriented solar and power engineer with experience in design, construction, fabrication, project engineering, project management, and engineering consulting. Ladies and gentlemen, if I continue with this CV, you will give me rain check. Even tomorrow we'll still be here because he has a very, very intimidating profile, and he is no less a person than Engineer Olaoshibikon Lukman Adegboyega. Hello, Engineer Lukman.
Hello, good afternoon, listeners.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
But you know, my listeners, it's not only Turenchi grammar that my listeners hear. So, I don't know which village you are from. Me, I know my village. I know Taiwo Barua's village here. Which village are you from? You have to greet them in the lingua franca of your village language.
I am from Kwara State.
Beautiful. Let's hear you.
Le Ofa.
Aha. I served in Ofa. Aha. So, greet them in your lingua franca.
So, Ekuro Leo Gogo Leo.
Aha. That's awesome. I'm sure with that. So we shall continue with the program on clean energy, the International Day for Clean Energy. But Engineer Lukman, let me just start with a recent surprise that I had. I understand somebody's inverter system exploded in the middle of the night. You know, we always associate clean energy with, oh, it's so safe, there's no combustible, this is solar, it's being transmitted, it's stored in battery. Is it possible? Or what could have happened, you know, that an inverter actually exploded?
Well, usually, what we normally do, and we advise people using inverter or clean energy system, is for them to also know the safety behind the use of these equipment. So if they are trained on how to use this equipment, whatever wants to happen, they will definitely know that it is not a new thing. But there are a lot of precautions one need to take when using all these clean energy equipment.
So, sir, it looks as if you are leading us into my next question, which is, what are the key safety challenges in the installation and operation of these renewable energy systems like solar panels, inverters, the wind turbines, and co? So it looks like you're like getting into that question. So could you just take it up?
Thank you very much. Usually we have three aspects of safety that we need to consider when we are installing solar panels, and we could have, because most installations are on the roof and some are on the towers, and when you have them, you are working at height. So one need to understand the basics of safety requirement for all these working at height. Then if the connections are not properly done, one could have electric shock because they are DC systems you are installing, and DC current that you want to generate sometimes is a continuous flow that you have from the solar panel. Even when the sun is not there much, you still have.
When the sun is not shining, you still have the current.
Still have it. So one has to be careful of electric shock. And you have to be very careful when you are working at height. So that's where we normally advise people to use personal protective equipment so that they can be protected against all these shock or hazards.
And also things like harness, right?
Yeah, the harness and they are part of the PPE that we talk about.
True. Now, how can safety training programs help to mitigate the risk faced by workers in the clean energy sector? Because this is an emerging sector. And when we talk about power plants, everybody goes, their mind goes to Egbe, their mind goes to Shiroro, and everybody says, yes, we know what the hazards are in the power plants. But with the clean energy sector, are we beginning to have specialized, safety training programs for them? And if yes, what do these programs entail?
Yeah, like other electrical plants or power plants, the solar or the renewable energy clean systems, they also require the safety training because of the fact that you talk about same working principle with other electrical equipment.
Now, let's just pause and emphasize. You said safe working principle, particularly with other, equipment. All right, please continue.
Yeah, so when you have a safe working principle, you need to allow the workers to understand the safety environment they are working. They need to understand the equipment they want to work with. What are the safety requirements for handling those equipment? As I mentioned earlier on, when you are using solar panel or installing solar panel or operating it, usually you put them on top of roof, and you have the hazard of improper connection that can lead to fire. So one has to be very careful about that. So they need to get the training on how to handle this, so that they don't have fire hazard.
So you're talking about improper connections can lead to fire hazards. Lagos, I hope we're listening. We've had Engineer Lukman with us, Olaosebiko Lukman Adegboyega, and he's talking about these installations going on the rooftop. In most cases, you have your solar panels mounted on the roof, and people have to work at height. They will ask you, Mr. Landlord, please give us money for scaffolding. You will fagile. You will say no, that they should go and be climbing one ladder somewhere. They need proper equipment to install, and then they need safety training. So if you are running a clean tech company and you haven't sent your workers for safety training, you better do that right now, because Engineer Lukman is telling us about improper connections and how they can cause a fire hazard. Isn't that right, sir?
Yeah, you are.
Awesome. So we need to go into this adoption of clean energy. It was supposed to reduce public health risk, compared to this fossil fuel like the diesels and the petrol of this world. But I'm beginning to see some waste too. I've seen panels of solar, solar panels being dumped in some various places. Sir, are we replacing a problem with another? What do you think, we should do when it comes to the public health risk associated with these clean energy solutions? Like batteries, waste batteries just being, flung around the whole place, and the panels, and, you know what I'm talking about. So let's see, what can we do?
Usually when you talk about the disposal of the equipment used in renewable or clean energy system, the most hazardous one that we have there is the battery bank. And the battery, you have them in 3 different types. You have the gel batteries, and you have the flooded batteries that contains liquid, and you have the lithium batteries. The one that people normally run away from is just that of the flooded, which is the liquid battery. Even when you are using it and you are charging it, the film that normally comes out of it is also hazardous. So we always advise people that when you want to use this kind of battery, you don't use them or keep them in an enclosed environment. You will allow ventilation to be around that place where you want to use them. So that is number 1. Number 2, when you want to discard the use of these batteries, you should allow the people, not just selling to truck pushers, just anybody, sell it to people that will destroy it in the proper manner that will not be able to affect people. All these things requires awareness.
That's why we're here,
so
I guess.
We need to talk to all our end users for them to be able to understand the way to dispose the unused batteries safely, so that
beautiful. Thank you, Lagos. We need to take a traffic update.
All right, you're still tuned to Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. Safety Train is the program. Quickly, let's tell you what some part of Lagos looks like at this time. There is a flash update here talking about a broken down tanker with gas problem at Yabatek Inward Ayetoro. The owner is already making effort to fix it and get it out of the road. For those of you within that zone, please be patient and look out for that impediment.
Thank you very much for staying tuned to the Safety Train on Lagos Traffic Radio 96.1 FM. My name is still Fayo Williams, as at last time I checked. And with me today, I have Engineer Olaoshebikon Lukman Adegboyega. We have been talking about clean energy, the safety concerns. He has told us that definitely the hazard of working at heights is involved whenever you have to install your solar panels, because usually they go on roofs, or if we're talking of your wind turbines, on masts. So that is one. Another thing is about the connection. You know, he has said that even when the sun goes down, don't think, say, wahala don't finish, oh, sun don't go down, it cannot have power again. It is not true. The thing is still having, they call it DC. Hey, the current is still flowing through. And I tell you, it can give rise to electric shocks. We also asked him what to do when you have a situation whereby like an inverter explodes, and what could have been the cause. He gave us a lot of tips on handling those items, the components of most of these solar systems. He said they should not be in an enclosed place. And even when you are servicing it, the fumes coming out of these things are not the right ones for you to inhale. So you should have all your PPE, and the correct procedure needs to be adopted. So Lagos, if you want to contribute to this discussion, you can call 0809 9120777. You can send a WhatsApp message to that number as well. Or in the alternative, you can dial 091 5387 7127. You can talk to Engineer Lukman Adegboyega about clean energy solutions. Now, sir, while we're waiting for Lagosians, are ever, smart Lagosians to call in today, I want us to just cast our mind back to 27th of January. And that was the anniversary of the Ikeja bomb blast. So we want to talk about emergency response, but I think we have a call. Hello? Hello?
Hello?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Is that Elder Tewogbade?
Exactly.
Beautiful. Thank you for joining us, sir. And we would like to ask, do you have any clean energy solution like inverter or solar in your house?
I have one supply the light into the house.
Okay.
But what I want to ask about is about public enlightenment. How far are they going about this? Apart from this radio station, I never hear about whether training school or government established way of
reaching out to people.
Information.
Okay, let's hear Engineer Teo, because I'm sure he belongs to some associations, and we want to know, what have you been doing in this area of clean energy to enlighten the public?
Thank you very much,
Elder Teo,
for this question.
Yes.
Government has been trying their own best, and that is why you have Standard Organization of Nigeria. They have renewable energy department where they always make sure that we have quality equipment so that you don't have fake products into the country to protect the citizens. Then we have a lot of associations that they are talking about renewable energy. In our office too, we have training where we train people on how to install and to use the solar energy systems in their respective places. So we have a lot of enlightenment
going on
on renewable energy systems, and the vehicle has not stopped. We keep on developing, because as you have new technology, then we need to have more training for people to be aware of what is going on.
Thank you very much. I guess the Tewagbade is gone off the line, and he has listened to that answer. I hope he is satisfied, because clean energy is here to stay, isn't it?
Yeah.
We have countries where all the the normal luminous bulbs have been changed to the energy saving types. Okay. And I hope that such initiatives will come around here. So just before Elder Teogbade's call, we were talking about emergency response, having in mind the kind of reaction we saw at the Ikeja bomb blast, and now you have mini grids and so on around. What if there is an issue with one of these places? What would you advise the public to do? We don't want to be angels or harm bringers of doom, but preparedness is about having that knowledge of what to do before an emergency happens. So can you tell us a little bit about some emergency preparedness and response plans that can come to play during a safe energy, a clean energy crisis, so to say?
The first thing that we need to understand, basically, when we talk of preparedness for this response emergency, is for us to have knowledge of what is going on. Because if you don't have knowledge of what is going on, then you can never get ready for it. Then you have to know what are the precautions to be taken in case of any emergency that we are talking about. Now you must be ready with safety equipment, because if you don't have safety equipment to be used during emergency, then there is nothing you can do about it. Clean energy, as we said earlier on, there are some of them. If we talk about, for example, you talk about hydroelectric power plants, you can have a dam that collapses, and when a dam collapses, it causes flood.
That's true.
So people need to be very careful about it when they have the flood. You know the precautions to take, so that as the Lagos State government and other government agencies, they have been talking about it, that wherever you see flood, the first thing is to evacuate yourself from that particular environment.
Exactly.
You don't need to stay there until it reaches
your domot.
Before you say, let me take action.
Baba bomb boy, they say flood is coming. Don't say I have nowhere to go. We don't want to hear that. Please relocate yourself. That is the first safety precaution. Sorry, sir. Sometimes I like to just bring it down so that we can all understand what we are talking about. So you have said that we need to know what to do. And the first rule is move out of the area. Don't wait until the hazard really reaches you. So another thing is, when we talk about the storage and transportation of clean energy items, is it safe enough for just any vehicle to carry batteries anyhow, the wiring, the panels? What do you have to say about the transportation of the components that we use in this, clean energy assembly and, supply chain?
Usually, when we talk about the transportation or handling of all these systems, for example, talking about solar panels, they are very fragile. So we need to educate the logistic companies how to handle this. The batteries, they can explode because they have chemical inside them, and we need to lecture them, teach them how they will be able to handle them when they are carrying them from one location to the other. Because of the roads we have, some of us, we need to understand that if you are transporting solar panel from Lagos to Jigawa or Owerri, for example, you have roads there that will make all these equipment to be moving up and down. So you need to get the safety equipment to tighten them very well so that they don't continue to shift. And the positioning, placing them inside the vehicle is also very important. So that is why we need to train the logistic companies how to manage this equipment so that they don't have damages to them before they get to that locations.
All right, so we have been having a very interesting discussion, but now it's time for a traffic update.
All right, Lagos, let's quickly tell you that it's building up in some part of the metropolis, occasioned by alternation. Looking at the screen in the studio, for those of you descending Ogudu, inward Ogudu Orioke, you have slight build up there, basically due to alternation. On Mobolaji Bank and anyway, also connecting Shobaru Biodu intersection, it's been intermittently slow, occasioned by alternation also. Aside these two areas, let's also tell you that there is an impediment that's by Yabatek inward Ayetoru, and I understand the owner is working on it. For those of you who listened earlier, as soon as that impediment is off the road, I will certainly update you.
Thank you very much for for listening to the safety train on Lagos Traffic Radio. Thanks for staying on that dial and not changing your channel, because here you are going to learn a lot about public health and safety. Engineer Lukman Olaoshebikon Adegboyega is with me, and I need to ask him, what are some real-world examples of organizations that have successfully integrated safety measures into their clean energy operations? Because sometimes we pass by and we see, oh, this particular fuel station is now saying, oh, I'm using clean energy, and they're a fuel station, So can you give me real-world examples of organizations that have integrated safety measures into their clean energy operations?
As we have said, I, from a company called Locador Engineering Services Limited, a renewable energy company, which is a local company.
Okay.
And we have our HSC program for this particular renewable energy. At all time, we train our workers how to handle equipment and how to manage it. Another company which I know is TNL Africa.
Okay.
They are presently even working with LUT. They are providing solar panels there, and part of the things that they always talk about in that company is safety. Because because you want to talk about health environment, and you cannot go there again and add to the pains of the patients.
Yeah.
So
sorry, we have to move away from the brand names.
When we talk about
we can't mention brand names as such. But we just wanted maybe what industries. So I think there's some an oil and gas industry was mentioned, and a local your manufacturing company was also mentioned. All right, so at least now we can see that there are real-world examples of organizations who have successfully integrated safety measures, into their clean energy operations. And the final question, sir, as we wrap up today, is how can communities benefit from improved health and safety as renewable energy projects expand into their regions? You just spoke now about renewable energy expanding into a teaching hospital. We have some in universities. We have some on agricultural setups and into various, villages, I would say. So what precautions can be taken to minimize risks, and how can they benefit from these projects without, compromising their health and safety?
The first thing I'll talk about in this area is awareness.
Okay.
When you are going to a particular community, they need to be aware of what you are bringing to them. And they need to understand the safety of all the equipment they want to be using. So if they understand all these things, then unlike fossil fuel that emits carbon, which is hazardous to health. This one is a clean energy. So this one doesn't do that. So what you need to now understand is that when you are using this equipment, you train them properly on how to use the equipment. And frankly speaking, to communities now, you are creating jobs for them. By training them, you are creating jobs for them. So instead of them saying they are going to urban centers to migrate from their local area, they already have work to do. Like what Renewable Energy Society of Nigeria they are doing now. They are trying to make sure that for every rural development, you have what they call rural electrification systems. And the rural electrification system,
that's about what we can take.